Good evening, everyone. Welcome to City of East Point City Circles Community Engagement Event. This is our second one. Thank you all for coming last week, and I see a lot of people that were here last week decided to come again, so we appreciate that. And welcome to all the new people that are here for the first time. This evening, we have an agenda. It's one on your table. You can follow with me. I'm just going to go over it briefly. Again, my name is Kimberly Smith. Welcome to our program for Planning and Community Development Department. I am the director. I'm going to quickly introduce the staff, the City of East Point staff that we have with us today, so you can know who we are. And I'm going to first introduce our city manager, Mr. Redmond Jones, and he is with us here at this front table. Mr. Redmond Jones, thank you so much for being here and for all the support that you have. I'm going to start in the back. We have Miss Yasmin Edge. She is our new project manager for our department. And in the very back, we have our summer intern, Miss Marcus Riles. He is a newly graduated high school senior, and he has done a fantastic job with this program. Our interns actually created all of our programs, posters, and agendas. So they did a very fantastic job with that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And in this corner here to my right, we have our second intern, Miss Kaylee Arnold. Also a high school senior from the local high school, Tri-Cities High School. So thank you, thank you, thank you to our summer internship. And here to my right as well, we have the assistant director of the department, Mr. Lee Kelly. And last but not least, we have Miss Brittany Gatewood, who is our city planner. And she and I are gonna have back and forth with the presentation this evening for you to tell you all about everything planning, everything zoning. We do have a few more of our staff members here who you met on the way in, Miss Tandria Thompson, who is our office manager in the department, and we also have Miss Diane Reed. So when you see them, say hello, but I just wanted to make sure that I introduced their names. Without further ado, everyone has had their light refreshments, so we're going to go ahead, open it up, and I'm going to start our PowerPoint. And again, tonight is everything planning, everything zoning. So, let me see if this works. Okay. So everything planning and everything zoning. We're going to start with our introduction for zoning. And we're going to go over what is zoning, why is zoning important, what is a comprehensive plan, and why is the comprehensive plan, how is it connected to zoning. We're also going to talk about knowing your district. If you own property or you're an investor in property in the City of East Point, we want you to know how to understand and use our zoning tools in order to optimize your investment, whether it's your home or a business or property in general. We're going to go over how to We're going to go over how to check your zoning, what is a zoning verification, and why is it important to get an official zoning verification on your property. We're also going to touch on a little bit about short-term rentals and lodging. We're going to go further into detail, what is the zoning process? What is a rezoning process? We're going to talk about special use permits, variances, lot splits, also our infill survey and when you need it and why it's important. So what is zoning? Zoning is a method in which a city or county or any incorporated jurisdiction, how they divide their property into land use and building zones. In the city of East Point, we have close to 40 zoning classifications. And if you look on this side here, these are all of our residential zoning categories. Some, as you see here, R1 is single family. And then as you go down the list, the density of these go up to where you'll have more units per acre. We also have an agriculture zoning district, as well as business park, commercial, neighborhood commercial, central business, which is our C2 zoning district, and we have something called commercial limited. All of these zoning districts that have modifications to the end, or it says with conditions, that means that that property went through a rezoning process and was approved with conditions or some type of modification. We also have several mixed-use type of zoning districts here, which would mix residential property with commercial property. We even have a new zoning category, which is not listed on this legend, called mixed-use commercial industrial. And it's a hybrid of mixed uses, commercial, light industrial, along with allowing residential. We also have, did I talk about business park? We have business park, which is a mixture of commercial, but with businesses included. And of course, we have our park and recreation. We have educational institutions. And what other interesting one? We have light industrial and heavy industrial as well. Why is zoning important? Well, these are some of the key points of why zoning is important to us. It promotes public health, safety, and welfare. It organizes the growth and development in the city. It protects our property values, and it also encourages economic development. And lastly, it balances our community needs with private property rights. If you see this diagram here, you can see where we have the schools next to the shopping, we have our city administration area, we have a stadium, and we also have our townhomes, cottages, and what have you. And all of these different land uses are broken up and meticulously placed in certain areas for a reason based on their compatibility to each other on how the properties are used. Our comprehensive plan, I wanted to talk about a little bit about the comprehensive plan. City of East Point updated the comprehensive plan in 2022. It was adopted in 2023. We are mandated by the state to update this plan every 5 years. And we updated ours in 2022, 2023. It was a long process that we went through with the community. We had 10 community outreach coordination meetings with the community. We met with business owners. We had several meetings here in this year. We had charrettes. We took a lot of surveys and asked a lot of questions of the community about how they wanted to see the city of East Point grow over the next 10 to 20 years. This QR code, you could use the QR code or you can Google it on the internet, and you can use this link as well to find out what's all inside of the comprehensive plan. The demographics, you can look at demographics of the city. There are many different types of things that you could find out on how the city of East Point chose to grow over the next 10 to 20 years. Inside of our comprehensive plan is our future land use map. This is a copy of our future land use map. All of these colors, they mean things in the planning profession. And so usually yellow is for residential properties. If you see that on a future land use map or our zoning map, yellow and orange is always residential. The deeper the color of the orange and the yellow, the property is allowed to be. And in this instance, this yellow here is our suburban residential future land use map character area. We also have traditional urban neighborhood, which is kind of this tan color here, which would account for denser type of properties, such as our R1As, which currently in City of East Point, a lot of duplexes are located in this particular character area. Growing residential will account for areas that allow for duplexes, triplexes, and multifamily. And that's depicted in this orange area here, all the orange patches that you see. Those are the compatible areas for growing residential. Then this darker tan color accounts for redevelopment neighborhood, which would allow for a more dense, it gets denser and denser as the colors move deep in color. Our neighborhood center, where you see in the pink areas here, that accounts for neighborhood center that would allow for commercial, light type of commercial uses, strip malls, mom and pops type of land uses in these pink colored areas here. Then we go deeper in color. This would be this red color where you see little patches here. That's our regional center character area and what was chosen for these particular areas here in the City of East Point. We also have multiple town centers, which it provides for a more detailed architecture. It provides for a detailed type of land use. I would say our Town Center 1 downtown, it has architectural overlay associated with it. Our Town Center 2 is Lawrenceville, and then we also have a Willingham Warehouse District, which we also have a Willingham development report that we completed in 2022, 2023, which is depicted for redeveloping and reimagining areas along the Willingham corridor, which has a lot of warehouses and light industrial and some heavy industrial uses currently. And then we have this blue color here. That's where we have a lot of heavy industrial uses that some are still currently being used. We call them legacy. They're probably going to be there for a while. And based on how our future land use map was approved a couple of years ago, they're here to stay, and we're just going to support them any way we can. One of the ways that the community thought to and staff thought to and everyone came together is to create that new zoning district classification, which is called the mixed use commercial industrial, which allows for buffering between residential and industrial uses. And this blue area here is industrial and business park, and I would say this is a Camp Creek area. And I'm sure you've gone down Commerce Avenue at some point and know that it's a lot of industrial business park type of uses that provide for a lot of warehousing and packaging and whatnot. So that's an overview of our comp plan, our future land use map, and how the city chose to grow over the next 10 to 20 years. Knowing your district, flipping from our comprehensive plan designation and land use designation and going back to to zoning. We talked about the comprehensive plan. What zoning does is it's used as a tool to support the comprehensive plan. And knowing your district and what can be done in each zoning district is very important. This tool here, this is another QR code. It would take you to our map that we have online. It's digital, it's interactive. You could put your address into it, and it will tell you zoning is. And with your zoning, it would also lead you to MuniCode, which is our zoning ordinance. It's online, and with that, it tells you the development standards. And we're just going to go through a quick exercise here on how that works. So this is our GeoPoint zoning map. This is the website, and you would go to this website here, go to planning and zoning, then the geo map pops up, and in the area, the box here, you type in your address. 2727 East Point Street is actually the police station that's next door, across in the parking lot. You would pull it up. You could click on any of the boxes there, and it'll tell you what the zoning is. You see the zoning? It tells you what it is. This is the legend where you could find out specifically what it is. If you click on the box here, it adds different layers. Just added a street in. They're all different types of blueprint backdrops that you could play with when you're using this tool online. All of this can be done at home on a computer or a laptop or your cell phone. You could turn layers on and off. If you want to know what the future land use map designation is, you turn the layer on and it'll tell you what the character area is for that particular piece of property. You could also find out what ward you're in. We have 4 wards in the city of East Point, and each council person represents one of these 4 wards, A, B, C, or D. You also can create a map and print it using this tool as well. Very interactive, very user-friendly. Our zoning ordinance, it tells you what you can do with your property. And our zoning ordinance is online. It's found on municode.com. And all you have to do is go to Google and put in City of East Point zoning ordinance or MuniCode, and this is going to pop up. And from there, it tells you Chapter 2, zoning regulations, and this is where you're going to find every single zoning classification for the city of East Point. And based on what zoning code popped up on GeoCode, this actually gives you detailed standards on what could be done with the property, how it could be developed. It provides for development standards. It tells you what type of temporary structures are allowed on the property. It goes in very, very deep detail on what you can do with your property. You can also look up ordinances using this tool. It's also very user-friendly and very useful to find out what you can do with your property. So that's an overview of what zoning is, how it's used with our comprehensive plan. That was going in and out. So I'm just going to talk with this mic for a moment. Next, we're going to talk about how to get an official zoning verification letter. And let me tell you why getting a zoning verification letter is important. If you are looking to invest in a piece of property, if you want to know what you can do with a piece of property, or you're wanting to finance a piece of property, or you're wanting to do upgrades, you need to know very specifically by law what is allowed. Because what we would hate for anyone to do is to purchase a piece of property and not know officially what can be done with it, or based on what your proposed use is, it may not be allowed. So this is what we refer everyone to get. It's just $50. We do research on the property, and we provide you a written document on what you can do, what you can't do, whether it has variances on it. We give you a whole rundown on the property, and it's very, very important to know. Ms. Brittany Gatewood is going to come up and walk you through that process, and I will take questions. Hopefully it works for you.
The research process, do you check for liens too? Can you check for liens?
We do not. Zoning verification letter is zoning verification only.
All right. All right, I'm Brittany Gatewood. I am the associate planner here, and so zoning verification letters, I do those very frequently. You're typically going to speak to me to get your zoning verification letter, and as Kimberly stated, if you're planning to do any type of business in the city, if you're leasing a space, and typically your lender, or not lender, your leaser will ask for a zoning verification before you even sign anything. So it's very important to get that. And as she also stated, it is a $50 fee per parcel. So, and it's a 5 to 10 business day turnaround, but it typically doesn't take that long to do the research and to get it back to you all, but we do ask that you give us the 10 days to turn that around for you. It's a simple application. You go on our website, eastpointga.gov, you go to applications and forms. We're under planning and community development, and under planning and zoning, you'll see zoning verification, alcohol certification, application. And this is what it looks like. And you can upload this to our BSNA portal. We ask that you do utilize BSNA for submitting applications. If you have any issues, you're more than welcome to email us at zoning@eastpointcity.org. And very, very important, it is not an approval letter. It is solely as a tool for you to verify that your proposed use is allowed where you're trying to do that use. We ask that you very thoroughly read it before going into contract with anybody. So, and if you have any questions about what's on that letter, you can always call or email us. So we'll talk a little bit about short-term lodging. Kind of tying from the zoning verification letter, you'll want to get that zoning verification, or at least ask us what your zoning is for short-term lodging, because certain districts allow for certain types of short-term lodging. And I'll break that down. So in the city, we define short-term lodging as an accommodation for transient guests where, in exchange for compensation, a dwelling unit is provided for lodging a short period of time. That short period of time is less than 29 days, or not to exceed 29 days consecutively. And the two types that I spoke about is whole house, which is your Airbnb where you're leasing the entire space. And then we also have homestay, which you're also living in that space, you're occupying it, but you're just renting a room or several rooms. And based on your zoning district, will tell you which one you can do. A lot of our residential areas will allow for both, but if you have single-family R1, you would only be allowed to do homestay. Also in our RL, it's just homestay. Let's see. And a couple of our commercial districts does allow for short-term as well. So that zoning verification, it'll tell you in our code what's allowed, homestay or whole house. This application as well is on our website under applications and forms, planning and zoning. And homestay applications is $75. For the whole house, it's $150. You'll have your required documents that you need to submit. It's listed on the application. And I will also mention whole house requires a business license. Homestay does not. But both require a short-term lodging license. So that's what you'll be obtaining when you apply. All right, and Kimberly, you want to explain the zoning process?
So, our zoning process, we have pre-application meetings. Our pre-application meetings are a requirement to submit any type of zoning, whether it's for a special use permit, use permits, variances, or actual rezoning itself. You also have to have a pre-application meeting for modifications to a condition of zoning as well. And so the process goes a little bit like this. So as I stated, the rezonings, use permits, and variances. So what a rezoning is, it's changing the zoning designation of a property with final approval coming from our city council and mayor. Our planning commission actually provides recommendations to city council and mayor. And so there's a process that you have to go through with community input. We have community zoning information meetings. We have our required pre-application meeting for any of these uses that you see here, such as rezonings, use permits, and variances. This is our zoning case application cycle. Each month we have a cycle, and as you see in this first column here, application deadline, all of those dates are the first Friday of every month. So the next cycle, this could be a quiz question. When is the next deadline? We have it circled. The next deadline, cycle deadline, is actually next Friday, or in a couple Fridays, August 1st. And with that, we have the community zoning information meeting. It is a required part of our zoning process. And if we're using August 1st as our cycle deadline, the community zoning information meeting would be August 12th. We have 2 planning commission meetings that are required and 2 city council meetings that are required. In this particular August 1st cycle, the planning commission meeting work session would be September 11th. September 11th is the second Thursday of the month. Then after that, you have a planning and zoning commission regular meeting and public hearing. At this meeting, it will give an opportunity for any citizens, interested parties to provide for comments, concerns in a public setting. Their comments are recorded and their comments are taken into account. And at that public hearing meeting for a planning commission, for rezonings, use permits, that body actually makes a recommendation to city council on whether your application is recommended for approval or denial. If we're using this August 1st application deadline and we're moving on to city council, there's a required city council work session. And that meeting happens on the second Monday of the month, and in this cycle, it will be October 13th. And at this meeting, it gives the applicant the opportunity to present their application to city council and to the public. No comments are taken at this time, but the next meeting, which is the city council regular meeting and public hearing, that is the meeting where citizens, community members, interested parties are allowed to provide public comments, whether they support the proposal or they don't support it. They may be in disagreement to it, and so they may come out and provide for reasons why your petition should not be approved. And at that final meeting, if we're using this August 1st cycle deadline, would be October 20th, which should fall on the third Monday of the month. What else do I want to share about our calendar? Our community zoning information meeting is a virtual meeting. Our planning and zoning work sessions are also virtual meetings held on the Zoom platform, and our planning and zoning commission meeting where recommendations are made, that meeting is in person. All city council meetings are in person, whether it's the work session or the city council meeting where final decision is made by mayor and council. I'm going to briefly touch on variances. Variances, the final decision actually stops at the Planning Commission regular meeting and public hearing. Our Planning Commission makes final decisions on all variance petitions. It goes no further. City Council, they do not hear those type of applications. We have a flow chart here. This is the actual application process. I briefly talked about it. We have our pre-app, which I stated briefly. Then after the pre-application meeting, we have the zoning application submittal process. This is where you work with our department on submitting your application, all of the supplemental documents through our BSNA online portal. And once you have submitted a completed application on the portal, you pay fees. Once the fees are paid, we set you up for that first meeting that I talked about called the Community Zoning Information Meeting. And then you start that process that I outlined in the previous slide, which went through CZIM, 2 Planning Commission meetings, and 2 City Council meetings, based on the type of application. Next, we're going to talk about lot splits or lot combinations and explain a little bit about how that works. So for lot subdivision and combinations, a lot combination is where you merge 1 or 2 or more parcels into one larger parcel. You could have a plot of land where you may have 2 acres next to 3 acres, next to 6 acres, and you may want to merge it into one so you can create a development, maybe a mixed-use development of some type. So in that particular situation, you would use our lot combination application. You may have a situation where you want to subdivide property, dividing a larger lot into multiple smaller lots, or you may just want to subdivide one property into 2 properties. You would call that a subdivision. Also, a double meaning. Subdivision is also termed for how we develop residential subdivisions as well, where you would have a larger piece of property and you want to subdivide it into, say, for example, maybe 20-unit housing development or maybe a 100-unit housing development. That's also termed subdivision. Within the subdivision and lot combination, you have to abide by our zoning development standards, and that's where our zoning ordinance is very, very important to read what the development standards are based on what the property's zoning designation is. This is our website. It provides for the application, where the application is on our website. And as you see here, circled in red, subdivide lot combination. It is an application packet that you go through. So now we're coming to a part of our event where we want to get a little bit interactive with you all, and we want to see how well you would do in our job. As an example, Mr. Lee Kelly, if you could help me with this exercise and walking through what we're looking at and kind of explain to the audience, what would they do? How would they make a decision based on the information in this proposal?
Good evening. The example that is before you, this is very broad, and it will not take us that long. The example is Shelley Buckles owns 2 adjacent lots on Main Street. Shelley wants to combine the lots and rezone the combined parcel to mix, MIX, in order to build a live-work development with ground floor, commercial suites, and residential units above the commercial spaces. What's the first thing that Shelley needs to do concerning this? Yes, sir. Although you are on planning commission, so this should be correct. No, go ahead.
Honestly, Shelley needs to go apply for an application and see if what her intended use.
Zoning verification letter.
Yeah, it's on the verification that will allow her to do.
That's correct. She needs to first check the zoning. She can do it from home, and she's more than welcome to call the office, and we'll walk her through the process, but she needs to make an application for the zoning verification. And how many days does she have? Can she call me back tomorrow and say, hey, where's my letter? She has 5 to 10 business days. Typically, we may turn around and give it to her tomorrow, but it just depends on how things are for the most part. But she checks the zoning. After she checks the zoning, we provide her with the letter that basically in her attempt, or as she's reading the letter, she basically sees that, hey, I can subdivide this property. What else is she looking at? The mixed use, there's one more key factor in this. It's real simple. She needs to combine the lots. But in order for her to combine the lots, the proposal actually spells it out. The key word, 6 letters. Rezone. So after she gets that zoning verification letter, she's rezoning. The proposal says she's rezoning it to MIX. So she's going from a residential use to MIX. MIX is what allows you that flexibility to do commercial, retail, along with residential. So that's what she's seeking to do here. So yes, rezone. She makes the rezoning application. She gets it in by that first Friday of every month. She makes the application to make sure she gets it in by that first Friday. But let me back up. what does she need to do prior to getting that application in first? Pre-app. She needs to give us a call, and we schedule, and we have a virtual pre-app meeting to basically discuss her application for the most part. She has the pre-app. She submits her application by that first Friday, and she follows now. She's on that cycle, that calendar cycle now, that Director Smith just shared with you for the most part. Really, during that time, now it's on us as staff, and there are a number of things that we're looking at. When we're looking at her application, we're looking at the future land use map to make sure that what she's proposing complies or is somewhat coincides with what the city of East Point is looking for that particular district. And that kind of helps us in driving our recommendation when we come before not only the Planning Commission, but also before Mayor and Council, for the most part. If you turn the page, I guess I could do it. That's Shelley right there walking. This is thanks to our project manager. Current layout, this is Shelley. She has 2 parcels, she's combining them. Let me say this, if you have, if you're looking at combining parcels, forget Shelley, but if you're looking at combining parcels or subdividing parcel, you need a survey, not a Fulton County GIS map. You need an actual survey, which means you need to hire a surveyor. We get calls all the time, can we come out and provide that service? And that's not something that the city does. You, as the applicant, the owner, the developer, the builder, that's on you to reach out to a surveyor and obtain those services. So in any lot combination or any subdivision plat, whether the subdivision plat is a commercial development or residential development, you need the services of a surveyor for the most part. Shelley's combining Lot A and Lot B. Let's see. Let's just assume Shelley hired a surveyor with this schematic. Now the lots are combined. I know this is very graphic for you guys. And as you can see on the left here, with the 2 cars in our example, that's Shelley's mixed use development. After she's undergone that calendar cycle, that rezoning process, she gets approved, and now she's able to submit for building permits, which you learned on last week, that whole process, and construct and develop her site for her mixed-use development. Any questions on lot combinations, subdividing?
Just want to make sure I understand this is how, so you would do rezoning first, then the combinations, then the appropriate order.
Say that one more time.
The appropriate order here is to rezone and then you combine.
Actually, really, we actually require you to at least provide. Now, let me say this. This is one thing I did leave out. You can do the lot combination, and we really prefer you do that. You're not going to record it now because we don't know how zoning is going to go for the most part. But you can have the surveyor. He's going to provide you with a survey of the existing parcels, everything split up, and then tell him, hey, I need also a survey showing all of these parcels combined. And here again, you're not recording that plat at this moment for the most part. So if things go south during the rezoning, it's still a subdivided piece of property for the most part, if that makes sense. All right, I'll turn it back over to Director Smith. Yes, ma'am.
So does anybody need to time homes, is there a zoning time homes?
We have one ordinance, and it's actually for a property that's at the end of the street. If you look out the window or out the city hall this way, Cheney Street, it was approved several years ago, and it's gone through multiple ownerships, and it has yet to be developed. So that is the only tiny home, cottage home type of ordinance that's been approved in the city of East Point. It's not a typical zoning. That particular piece of property hasn't been developed. It's a vacant piece of property right now.
Yeah, there is no specific tiny home zoning district within the city of East Point. Like Director Smith was talking about 2715 Cheney Street. It was zoned, I believe, CUP. And with community unit plan, you can kind of create your own, and that's how that particular development was put together for the most part. So there is no, because really with every zoning district that was shared tonight, there is a minimum heated floor area. So there is no 500 square foot zoning district that we have, anything like that.
What if you wanted to add like an ADU to your property, which would be like?
I'm gonna let Ms. Brittany.
Yes. Okay, so to answer the question about the ADU, in East Point, we call them habitable accessory structures. Those get approved by city council and the mayor. Those go through that zoning process for special use. So I would say all of our residential districts allow for ADUs, habitable accessory structures. You just have to have that special approval first, and then you would get your permits for that ADU. It also has its own setback requirements within those development standards of the district. You just have to abide by those by getting a site plan together, and that's what you would submit for your special use permit for that ADU.
Brittany,
Yes.
if I can add, with the ADUs in the code, the owner has to occupy one of the structures.
Yes.
We get it a lot of times, hey, I want to add an ADU, and I want to lease out both of these structures, and that's not what our code allows.
Any other questions? We can pause for questions if you need some. All right. So the next part of our presentation will be about the infill survey. If you've already had experiences with submitting for a new structure in East Point, then you would be aware of the infill survey part of that submittal. This is when you're submitting for any new construction in East Point, or if you were doing an addition to your property that is 25% or more than what is already there, we would require you to do a survey of the surrounding properties. This is a snippet from our ordinance. It's Article J. If you go on Unicode and you go to Article J infill, you'll find this. And it outlines what the survey area actually is. And that's 3 nearest homes on both sides, any home directly in the rear lot, and then 6 homes that are across the public right-of-way. So in total, that is 13 properties, if I can do math. And when we're doing the evaluation of your infill, we're looking to see that what you are proposing to do for this new structure matches at least the majority of what you've surveyed. So if 7 homes are brick and 6 are vinyl, or not vinyl, hardy plank, you would have to construct a brick home because 7 are brick. We are also looking at the size of the lot, whether it has a chimney or not. We just want to make sure that what you're planning to do is in some sort of cohesiveness with what's already there. This is an example of what our form looks like. There's also a public participation aspect of this, which we didn't snip for this, but we do ask that you also get with maybe the neighborhood association, kind of put a email blast, whatever it is that you can do to get some sort of public participation and let your neighbors know, hey, this is what we're getting ready to do, this is what we're proposing. You know, any comments that they may have, hey, this is mostly cottages, we don't want 2-story here. You would kind of get that intake and make sure that what you're doing is right for that particular neighborhood. And you'll see that it gives you the 13 spaces to do your survey. You'll also submit photos of those homes. And during the plan review process, this is what zoning is going to be looking at for any new construction or addition of more than 25%. And that is what we have for you in our presentation. If there's any questions that you maybe don't have right now, but you want to ask them later, we have our phone number here, as well as our email. Feel free to reach out to us with anything you may have. All right.
All right, well, thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed our all planning, all zoning overview of what we do, what we get particular types of petitions in our office. Again, this is our planning and zoning division. This is our contact information here. All of this is listed on our website. Also on our website, if you're ever interested, right on our main launching page is our entire department directory. It has all of our names, our email addresses, our desk phones, as well as our city-issued cell phones. So we are a click away or a call away for any questions that you may have. Next up,
We're going to take a break because that was a lot of information. So we're going to give you guys some time to go to the restroom if you need to. On the table, so if you do have any questions, you can write those down. And the people who presented are more than happy to answer those when we come back. It's 7:24, so we can reconvene at 7:30. All right, so, oh, that's loud. Experts answer that for you.
any questions?
Not a question, but a comment. I just appreciate you all having these meetings. I missed the last one. I was out of town. But it makes things so upfront, right? So opposed to everything being fragmented, here it gives you a bird's eye view of how to make this happen without it feeling like it's so overwhelming. So thank you all so much again for staying after work, putting all this together. and making it happen. And I would guess you would have a series of this at another time throughout the year or next spring or whatever.
Yes, we will. Next month, we're going to put together a series of lunch and learns that are going to be during the daytime, where our permits manager, our business license representatives, as well as our planners and our planning and zoning staff are going to have the opportunity to just basically explain what we do, what type of processes, if you're doing an addition, a driveway, what is the process to do it, and just to let you all know that we're here and we're willing and ready to help. It's called Lunch and Learn? It's going to be called a Lunch and Learn, and we're going to have... It may be bring your own.
I too have just a statement or a comment, and I appreciate you all having this. I've been literally trying to get here all evening, so I had to leave my guest at home. I have guests, but she would get things happen.
Okay. But thank you for that. We are really working. We have a new team. Our team is very, very new. I'm going to say that our team members are less than a year, maybe 2. Mr. Kelly is our assistant director. He's coming up on 2 years in November. And everyone else is, I mean, we're building a team. And I'm very happy with it. So thank you. Thank you for those comments that our work is coming together, and the whole intent is for us to be here to help you live a happy, healthy life. That's our intent. Any more questions?
Or compliments.
Or So we do have a short-term rental ordinance several years ago, and that is how we regulate short-term rentals in the city. Ms. Brittany talked about how that's done and how they're approved. You have to go through our application process. We also have code enforcement, and that will be our enforcement arm. But as far as regulations, we do have a short-term rental ordinance in place, and it's been in place for several years now. And that was a whole nother drawn-out process. It took, I want to say, 24 months to put together, and it was finally approved. Code enforcement. Yes. Any other questions? So short-term rentals is considered, thank you, I wonder is that on our trivia? 29 days or less is what how we define short-term rentals. Consecutive days. Oh my goodness, you guys were listening and paying attention. We have a good group here. Any other questions? Yes. No. The closest thing we have to that is the habitable accessory structure, which it would be on site with the primary structure, most of the time single-family residential, and then they can consider mother-in-law suites or just some type of habitable accessory structure on the property. Any other questions? All right. Is it trivia time? So the zoning verification letter is an official zoning. Let's say you were distracted and you looked at the wrong zoning and you have it in your mind like, well, I thought it was R1 and it's really C2 because you just didn't look at it in the detail. And you're using that, oh, I'm going to invest in this property, I'm going to build this whole retail establishment, and then you're like, get the zoning letter, or you come to us with your proposal or your application to develop, and we're like, not so much. So verification just, it kind of gives you security on what you actually could do with the property.
I'll also add, a lot of times banks and lenders will require you to get that letter first. So it's a given. It's sent by email.
Next.
It was just a comment.
Having community engagement events like this, letting people know that we are open for business, we are here, we are well-equipped with the tools and the knowledge to have an open communication and engagement with the community. We're really hiring people that are passionate about what they do. That's how I'll hire people, and that's what I look for. And I think it's coming together. You can feel it, I can feel it.
Oh, and we also do have feedback regarding our website. It does include a lot of resources, and it can. Make sure that we are.
Thank you. All right.
Any other questions? Okay, all right.